Ross is a research scientist at the MIT Center for Information Systems Research, and she specializes in enterprise architecture and management. And of course, we're all reminded daily of the barrage of new digital native companies who are market and putting pressure on the legacy businesses to transform. Her distinction of digitizing versus digital is an excellent segue to what makes the transformation digital. If you are digitizing, you are enhancing your legacy business and trying to achieve operational excellence. And in today's socioeconomic climate, that's something most of you should be doing already. It's when you have created the capabilities that allow you to do rapid business innovation and deliver a new customer value proposition that you can call yourself digital. Let's step back for a moment. Mark Prensky, who's an American writer and speaker on education, coined the term digital natives. It's a generation of people born after the advent of widespread use of digital technologies in the last decades of the 20th century. An event that he called singularity that changes things so fundamentally that there is no going back. Digital natives have spent their entire lives surrounded by using computers, video games, digital music players, video cams, cell phones, and all other toys and tools of the digital age. The internet, social media, and instant messaging are integral part of their lives. When the first wave of these technologies came about, they changed the experiences and behaviors of the consumers and were the cause of the rise of the initial wave of the 21st century consumerism. I wrote about these back in 2012 in a white paper called Gear Up for Camping, Cloud Analytics, Mobility, and Process. And to respond to this consumerism, a lot of newly companies called digital native entered the market. These are brands that have only existed in the digital world, meaning one that exists primarily or entirely online. And they started adding pressure on established companies to become digital as well. We witnessed this during the dot-com era when it crashed and its aftermath. As companies were getting comfortable and started playing a part in the digital space, they were also rewarded by offering their customers multiple channels and touch points to interact with them. Hence the transition from brick and mortar to online transactions. Then came about another new wave of technologies, AI, 5G, blockchain, robotic propagation, quantum computing. However, these are more powerful and the kind that can complement and enhance the last wave in unimaginable ways. If these technologies weren't enough to influence the conventional businesses to continue their adoption of digital technologies and be responsive to the ever-changing demands and expectations of providing a better customer experience, we got hit with COVID-19 pandemic. The consumer experience and journey and COVID-19 became the nucleus, impetus, and accelerants to digital transformation. This was the wake-up call or the aha moment for the legacy businesses that can no longer depend on their conventional value chains defined masterfully by Michael Porter decades earlier to sustain a competitive advantage. You can no longer be cheaper or better to win customer and market share. Your value chain and ecosystem had to change to keep up and match the new experiences and their customers desired when they desired and received when they're doing business with their competitors and digital native brands. Let me walk you through a patient's experience and journey with a quick healthcare industry example. I use myself as an example. So I moved to Florida for employment, and my Achilles tendon was ruptured during a badminton game. And that, of course, meant a visit to ER, a primary care doctor, and multiple orthopedic surgeons, various testings, and working with the hospital and completing lots of forms for the surgery. I was also prescribed medication for pain and to prevent infection. So I visited pharmacies a few times. Because my primary residence was in California, a year later, when I relocated to California with a new employer, none of the new physician offices had access to my health records in Florida. It was like my surgery in Florida had never happened. I had to visit multiple portals, piece together my care episodes, and keep repeating the same information in multiple new forms when visiting my doctors in California. These healthcare institutions, whether for profit or not, have their unique businesses and objectives. Every time you use the US healthcare system, you will traverse the ecosystem by going through multiple network of payers, providers, and other healthcare related services. Every time they must provide services to you, they will, based on their interest and purpose, slice and dice your records, the patient records, albeit not intentionally. As a result, each episode of your care creates patient information and data silos, making it challenging for patients to navigate the healthcare system and learn about their care delivery details and have a productive, easy experience. See, when these institutions start transacting with one another to handle your care, they create a disconnected, fragmented experience for the patients. For example, it is not unheard of for patient to have to go to 5 to 8 different portals to learn about the outcome and results of their lab tests and x-rays and visits to doctors. The exception is when you use an integrated delivery system, but even then you might go out of their network. So let's go back to that earlier slide and change the word customers with patients. You'll see how these patients, who are also customers of other digital institutions such as online banks and retails, started demanding similar new patient experiences and journeys. And that will require a unique value proposition that's aligned with their expectations and experiences. A new value proposition for patients requires legacy and conventional businesses to transform. Still, these businesses have been around for decades and come with many traditional building blocks, spanning their cultures, business processes, systems, products, and services that have been their bread and butter for many years. For decades, they've been trying to streamline their business processes and operations, implement all kinds of systems, and integrate them to offer their customer better service and products. They have already experienced several transformations and used various change management techniques to redesign their processes and put quality improvement controls in place. They have implemented data warehousing, analytics, HR, electronic health records, ERPs, financial systems to automate their front and back office enterprise processes and become more efficient and productive. It is not just those conventional building blocks, also the external forces that have put additional pressure on legacy businesses to change. In healthcare, patients are not demanding more virtual care, in-home care. They want price transparency and understand their choices and the ability to compare providers before committing to an inpatient or outpatient procedure. They want omni-channel access to their care delivery, for example. There are also pressures from within the industry. Some of you are familiar with the healthcare industry. See, they're moving from fee-for-service to value-based care and bundled payments and population health management. And of course, who can forget about the laws, new laws, and regulatory compliance and mandates? They're always there, will be there. These conventional building blocks, characteristics, and external forces have created the first wave of the 21st century challenge for the legacy businesses in all industries. What will separate leaders from their followers will be how these companies in various sectors can minimize or reduce their time to digital transformation. These legacy businesses cannot start with a clean slate, a disadvantage that disruptors do not have. They are already ingrained and entrenched in their current business model, technology platforms, cultures, business processes. They must bring operational excellence to their current operations first, and then at the same time, go through the transformation. They must support their existing book of business and find the proper roadmaps to transform digitally. It will take leadership, meticulous planning and execution, and appropriate level of patience. So, how do you meet this challenge to minimize your time to digital transformation? Let us start by defining what digital transformation is. I have described it as a continuous process of orchestrating and converting your legacy business to a digital native based on reimagined customer experience, business model, and go-to-market digital strategies. This definition is loaded and should not be underestimated. And it is another reason why I suggest that digital transformation is infinite. It impacts your workforce, business processes, culture, organizational structure, how you interact with your customers, their experience interacting with you, partners, operations, choice of technologies, how they are implemented, performance measurement, logistics, supply chain, data, and privacy. So I have broken